Cool. We are live. Awesome. So people, and again, I just did an episode last night, but Krishna was not there. So they are like, "यार ये दो दो बार क्यों कर रहे हैं?" But just so that people would know, we were supposed to talk to Sonal last week, but we couldn't, speak. So this is where we are. And actually, few people actually pinged me that is this episode happening or not, because they were also like, finance wale log the, so they were also very curious to sort of hear from you, right? So here we are. So Sonal, like, just to sort of kick off things, right? I actually want to start like how you got into like the CA, because I'll tell you why. It's like a Indian dream, right? So everyone knows what is American dream, but in Indian dream, I think it's only CA, engineer, or doctor. So you sort of lived that one dream. How did that happen? Tell us about that.
So the story, I don't know, many of the people don't believe it started when I was just in second standard. So one of my relative is a chartered accountant, and I was very young. As I will say, I was kid when I was in second standard, and I went there, and there were few instances which happened, which where I felt कि पैसे के बिना कुछ नहीं है जिंदगी. Number one, there is nothing without money. There is nothing, and the second is I was so much disturbed, or I will say, whatever. Like, I felt that, okay, I will become this, and, I will become a chartered accountant one day, and then I will prove and that, a chartered accountant can be a good person. Sorry to say that. And then, and just to prove proud to my parents, like my father and mother.
Right, right.
So from there it started. Of course, it was in my mind when I didn't even knew what a CA is. And then after completing my 10th, we are like five siblings. Mostly girls are not allowed to go outside house. Like my entire generation, I was the first person who just stepped out of Giridih, Jharkhand, where I came from,
Mm-hmm.
and just started doing it. Then challenges, like, sometimes I was been allowed to stay outside, like, as you know about CA, like, IPCC, I did outside, I did coaching, everything. Final, I did it myself. And yeah, that was the only reason. Like, I wanted to do something. I knew that no one is going to invest me while doing MBA or engineering. CA is the easiest way, where, less investment. And yeah, that's how it happened.
Right. And when you reflect back at your journey, right? So I'm sure a lot of even aspirants reach out to you and ask, like, kaise karna hai, kya karna hai. But when you sort of just reflect back right now, were there certain things that really worked out in terms of like, clearing the exams and stuff like that? Because it's very, like, everybody knows it's a hard exam, like, a lot of hard work goes in. What is your reflection, let's say, after like few years of, after finishing it?
I think my reflection was like, don't give up.
Hmm.
In CA, it's not that, and don't, give up on articleship. Don't give up on articleship. That is a practical training. And the second is, don't give up on whatever, like, attempts it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Articleship helped me a lot. The practical learnings, which most of the people don't do, I'll say. They took dummy articleship, or, their parents or relatives, whatever, and they feel like it's just and a lot of things are there now. We have a series also on CA, something, I think. So yeah, so articleship is very important, and don't give up, because CA takes a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
um, there are like instances where just for 1 marks you will be like failed or
Yeah.
whatever, right? Will not be able to move forward. So just don't give up. Just keep doing it. And the best part is, here in this case in CA, it's not just you are studying, you're also working. So articleship is just a working, right? So yeah, that's how we should just everyone, you should think that they are working, they are just not
But
studying.
Sonal, I have a very counter question, which I think a lot of people might hate me for, but let me still ask it. So I have personally witnessed people having six, seven, eight, nine fail attempts, and they're still going on and on about it. And I might not have had a problem with it going on and on about it, but their life goes to a pause. And see, more or less, when you're 18, 19, आप देना चालू कर देते हो, right? ये exams, because then you'll have articleship and then followed by etc. Right? They just stop living. So for those people, does this same concept make sense? In their case, I genuinely feel they should give up. That this is not meant for you. There is a understanding between you can do it and where your caliber is not there, you need to stop. How do you define that? Have you seen something working for these people, or just not working? वो भी तो हो सकता है ना कि नहीं है भाई caliber naturally or not there.
Yeah, so it all depends, right? First, everyone should be clear in their mind. Why are they doing it? Like, I always love numbers. I
Hmm.
always love doing what I was doing. I love finance numbers. So even when I was like, young, I used to, so my father owns a shop, departmental shop. I used to sit with him. I used to, help him with finance, numbers, and I love to do it. And I used to,
Hmm.
even at that time when now we speak about finance and strategy, etc.
Hmm.
That time I used to help him to, okay, this material, is giving more profit. This product we should sell more. We should get it from this vendor. So I
Hmm.
love to do it. So that was I think is something which everyone should understand, that
Hmm.
whether they're learning something, what they're doing, whether they're leaving it or just doing it for the sake of doing CA.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think that should be the driving power, not just like I have to do CA. Whether
Hmm.
you are liking to do it, whether you are loving
Yeah.
what you are learning,
Yeah.
that is important.
Yeah. And also, like I have seen a lot of people who did not succeed in CA, right? And they somehow felt that they were failures, which I think is so not true. Like what you said, right? Do you really love what you're doing? Like Jay told you this offline as well, right? We simply love doing what we're doing. So it then becomes easier for you. एक होता है कि ठीक है, you don't love doing it, but you have the skill set to do it. Second is you love doing it and you're doing it. I don't think there is a third. That will only create more pain. On this line only, Sonal, also in India, finance and accounting unfortunately is dreaded by most people, right? Like personal finance accounting karne mein bhi, like it takes, people find it very boring, or they just don't understanding, right? If
Hmm.
I were to ask you that if somebody wants to understand the nitty-gritty of finance accounting from business perspective, and second personal for your own filings, what is the right method for it? How can you make it easier for yourself? Any
See,
hacks around it?
there are two things. One is when you say accounting, finance and accounting, I think people, the mindset for finance and accounting is just, numbers, what's the balance sheet, whether it's tallying, balance sheet, P&L. But
Hmm.
finance and accounts is beyond that. Finance and accounts is, mainly about understanding what it is. Like, if I have this much of money in my hand, from where it came,
Hmm.
how can I, invest and make it more? Or, what are the areas where I should improve my expenses, where I should cut my cost? What are the, areas where I can invest more? Even it can be normal, like, just now you said, right? People do stop living their life. So should I spend in my life? Like, I should start traveling, I should be more happy. Sometimes for personal friends, if you will go and see your PN, it will say you have spent a lot in your medicine and doctor,
Hmm.
right? From there only, just try to find out whether I will do more party or meet friends, or I will travel or join a yoga. Will that be more helpful? So
Hmm.
this is how finance should be. It should not be just numbers, planning, accounting. It should not be. Finance should be treated as why and how.
Hmm.
Big so
Okay.
Sonal, one quick follow up, right? So there is now so much of like I think I would say overstimulated gyan on personal finances, right? In a very simple term, like how do you personally advise people or manage your own personal finances? If to give like some sort of like a very simple SOP of sorts, how would you recommend somebody who's very young right now, let's say 24, 25?
See, like, there will be different perspective for different people, right?
Yeah.
For me, from the very early stage, I have started savings and investings.
Hmm.
And apart from that, I always believe that it should not come on any cost of like my personal life, my happiness, etc.
Mhm.
So for me, I keep priorities. Like, one of course should be the wealth, health, and then my happiness. So for me, happiness is one of my greatest priority. So I just divide my money also in that. Like, of course, I have to build my wealth, so I have to invest some part of it. There are percentages I do where I invest. Then I have, like, how should I improve my living. Then the third part is, how can I be happy? There are different ways. Like, I can donate and I can be happy, I can help others, I can be happy, or I can go on a trip and I can be happy. So I think, again, it's not about numbers or percentages which people should decide, but on the acts, what can make you feel satisfied in your life. So personal is like that.
Yeah, so actually it makes sense because just the last episode, right, yesterday only, we were discussing that a lot of people have become obsessed with the portfolio numbers, let's say in their bank or their stocks or whatever. Would they want to spend that money in 20 years, or will they want to spend some part of it today, right? And like just enjoy your day, right? You don't need to wait for like let's say one, like day after 20 years where you will like, okay, I have so much money, what should I do now? So I think this is one of the things because I have seen so many people at very early age obsessing over investments, right? And they completely want to sacrifice everything what they have today for something that might potentially turn out to be great tomorrow. So I think there is this always tug of war going on, right, with the mind.
Yeah, I think I agree, and there should be a balance. It should not be only investing or only spending. So there should be a
Mm.
balance. You have to be prepared for your future as well as you have to enjoy your today.
Right, right, right. For like, if you have worked with like quite a few businesses, right, and from let's say early stage to later stages, so you would also closely work with let's say the CXOs, the founders, or like key stakeholders. What were some of the observations like in terms of uh, let's say bad people who are like not able to manage their finances very well? Were there some lessons that you want to let's say share to a lot of founders today? Because a lot of people are new in the whole financial journey, doesn't come from finance background. How can they actually get good at finances?
See, in all my experience, and I will, and this is a real experience I'm sharing. I've seen that earlier founders were more, diverted or inclined towards the sales numbers,
Mm-hmm.
and that was one of the very, difficult area for finance to, explain that only sales will not help. I have seen, that sales numbers are going high and high. Cash flows are very in a very bad conditions. No, there is no lookout at expenses. Just we have to increase the sales numbers, go for investment funding rounds, take funding. That's all. So, but today I think this has changed, right? Most of the founders, if even if they don't know finance, they know how to deal with the insights of it. So the best way to deal today or even that time was to build up stories. So if, for example, if I'll go and say, this is a percentage of expenses or the EBITDA is negative or anything, it doesn't make sense to anyone who don't understand this terminology. Rather
Mm-hmm.
than explaining them this with a story, right? Like, even though we have, I'll just give you an example. So even though, for example, my cost of product was 500, I have sold it at 550. 50 is my gross profit, but again, my marketing spend is 100, and so we are still at negative. So if I explain that, right, I think that was more useful rather than just giving a total number and saying that we can't do this, we can't do that. So that has helped me. I think most of the times I have used stories and examples to explain, and that has helped me a lot.
Right. Also, I think since you raised a very interesting point, right? So, a decade back, most of the Indian companies were like fundamentally built on profits, right? That profit is the ultimate thing that everybody was optimizing for. Now the metrics have completely shifted, right? We talk a lot on the CM2 positive, CM1 positive, then there is EBITDA positive, and then there is very few conversation happening around PAT. How do you as a finance person sitting in the company, how do you like just deal with all this, let's say the whole change which is coming in the companies, like what is it like from an insider standpoint?
Um, um, what I understand your question is you are saying that earlier it was profit oriented, now it is not profit oriented. Are you saying that?
Yeah, so now there are so many, let's say, spends on marketing that have increased significantly, right? In terms of customer acquisition cost, there is this chance that everybody saying, "अच्छा हम break even कर देंगे मतलब इतने साल में उतने सालों में." So how do you look at this, like somebody who has been
So
into
to make it
startup?
very simple, break even as a term for people has become very different. For me, what a break even is different from what it is for Jay
Yeah,
and what it is for Sonal.
Yeah,
yeah,
So
that's true.
question is from the financing lens, how are you looking at a break even, or what are you looking at these terms? What is profitability in true sense?
So again, it depends upon business to business. So
Hmm.
for every business it cannot be same, and every time break even for each business will be different. So
Right.
there are fixed cost and variable, right? So it again depends on business to business. As on scenario, I'll say, for as a finance, if you'll say, I don't look at EBITDA or break even or PAT, I look more over the cash flow. If my cash flow are correct, if I'm going in the right direction, if I'm spending at the right place, even my EBITDA is negative, even I'm not able to achieve the break even, I will survive and I will be at a point where I will be a profitable company. So it's not about break even, it's not about PAT or EBITDA, but it's about whether I am spending in the correct way, whether my cash flows are in a good position. I have liquid enough cash to survive, because
Got it.
most.
But so, can you also explain what does cash flow mean in this case? Because like what we all understand कि cash flow packed होने के बाद बनता है, right? मतलब once you have, let's say, so is that the correct way to look at it, or something is different in terms of?
So when you say cash flow PAT होने के बाद बनता है, we still have cash. Like we any company will have cash even they have negative PAT or negative EBITDA, right?
Yeah.
Or a negative CM margin.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, I am just thinking of, if I can, I will. For example, if I will, look at my P&L, or and I will see if CM1 is positive, and I will say, oh, my business is doing good, but in my bank amount there is only $100. What I'm going to do
Mm.
next? What is the plan
Okay.
next, right? So that's the question. So cash flow is very important for any business to survive, rather than the P&L. P&L will give you more strategizing options, the plan, everything. Of course, P&L is also important, but I'm saying the first thing to see is the cash flow.
Got it. So, if I understand correctly, let's say my EBITDA is positive, but if my cash flow is not that great, it can still be an like a concern for the business overall.
Yes,
Got
because
it.
you don't have a scenarios, like you don't have a way forward. How will you do? For example, this month your EBITDA was positive for
Hmm.
whatever reason, right? Next month, what you will do if you don't have the cash in your bank?
Hmm. Which is, I think, a fair point because yeah, PNL might come later on, but the first is salary, then and all that. Cool. Krishna, you have a question?
So, Sonal, we've also seen a interesting trend on your profile, and I've seen this in past as well. A lot of times, a lot of other non-business functions somehow roll up to the finance team as a trend, like be it HR, be it operations, right? And you've been doing this role for some time now. Why do you think this happens? Is the first question. And second, why do you think this is logical? I think it happens mostly in the case where organizations are still smaller and would not need like a operations head or a talent head, is my 2 cents, but would love to hear that from your lens.
No, you have already answered half of it. The organization is small
Yeah.
and all, but yeah, there is another aspect and another side of it is, now finances, as I said, right now finances no not only about accounting or the numbers. Now
Hmm.
finance is about how we can help the other departments. For
Hmm.
example, I'm also taking care right now of marketing, just for information. So
Oh,
yeah,
Okay.
now I am looking
nice.
for marketing, right?
Huh.
So for example, I will help them in, of course, I manage a team. I'm not the one
Hmm.
who alone takes care.
Hmm.
So, what are the spends in different market? Which market is
Hmm.
growing more? How can we, increase the ROI by spending more in one market and reducing the cost in another market? These are
Hmm.
trends. Everything comes from finance. This marketing team will not be able to do, right. They can write content. They can do all those marketing stuffs, but then the insights and the strategy which finance can do has to
Hmm.
be come from finance. So this is how similar for design, right? Similar for operations. I think HR, any hiring budget, what where we should invest, where we should not invest.
Hmm.
And nowadays CFO and finance people works very closely with founders. So what
Hmm.
are the vision, right? How this vision can be again converted into numbers, how numbers can help them to plan their vision. So all these things turns up to, like, all the functions are interrelated. So first part, of course, small team, and the second part is how finance is helping the other departments.
Hmm.
So, but like Sonal, in one case, can you hear us, Sonal? I think her screen just froze.
I think so too.
I think I lost my network. Just a second.
हाँ, अभी
You're
I
back.
think you're
We can
हाँ,
hear you. So,
we
Sonal,
can.
I just had an extended question to see where I saw this model fail horribly. I'm not going to take any organization's name out of respect out here.
कर
But
लेना, we can use for reel.
so what I saw is ये same model use हो रहा था. And like you said, you have teams under each vertical to function it, right? As a third party, what I observed was that when the finance person was taking the decision, it was not people first. um, because you're of course looking at it from the budget angle. Is this right for the organization, right? But that people essence was just missing in that. Like a lot of places it had become very how would you put it, machinery. There was no passion to it, like because people function runs on passion, right? तो वो एक gap नहीं होता है when you do something like this.
Um, See, I'll explain you like again, finance is not the traditional anyways.
Hmm.
If you would have heard so many places people don't like finance, sales don't like finance, engineering team don't like finance, right? So finance has to change themselves from
Hmm.
traditional to know what we are, right? We have to understand people. We have to. So now the I think main job for finance is not numbers but to
Hmm.
understand and explain people, right?
Yeah.
So over
Mhm.
the years I have learned this in a very and I'm blessed, like I've got opportunity in last two companies also to take care of the HR. And where
Mhm.
I've learned this, right, that how before saying what you want to say, you have to understand what the person you are dealing with want you to say, or what they're
Yeah.
expecting out of it, everything. So I think not from HR perspective but from finance perspective as well, you have to understand the people. You have
Yeah.
to have that passion. So I think from there I've developed that, and that is helping me here, because finance has to deal with each and every department. It's not only about HR or any, you know so that's how you learn.
Good.
But in
My
that
question,
case,
अच्छा
हाँ,
पूछ ले. My
नहीं
question
कर.
is completely different. If it's continuation, आप पूछ लो.
हाँ, तो मेरा है ना इस पे सेम था कि since now you have been in finance, you understand the finance mindset, and now you have also deal with different departments. So for instance, somebody, let's say, who's from a marketing or a sales, right? They want certain approval or like certain expansion ka budget. What do you think? Like, what sort of language mental model works to speak to finance profession? What that's what I'm trying to get to. Is there like a, I know it can be different for a lot of people, but is there like something that just sort of can maybe make people also understand in finance can be क्यों कर रहे हैं? If you have to just give it 2 cents from your experience so far.
um, as I said, everything has to be backed by the explanation and story,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So whether it is a finance answer or an HR answer, that
Right.
has to be explained. I cannot just say no, or I cannot just say yes. Why
Hmm.
I'm saying no, or why I'm saying yes, it should be backed by it. It is not always number. There can be scenarios as well. For example, if say sales team came and someone came and they said we need two new hirings, and I don't have any number, but the reasons are valid. Someone is going to get married, and there might be less time they will spend, and we cannot at this point of time we'll need backup, or whatever reason. I'm just giving silly reasons here, but yeah. So every time it cannot be just numbers, so they can be just, or someone is overwhelmed, they want a break, whatever is the reason, right?
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
there should be an explanation to each and everything. That is what I feel.
I remember there was a recent scenario like one of my friend was working in the HR team and they wanted to buy a London global license, right, which is pretty expensive. And it was a big investment for a company to make, even though they are a Series B company, right? Considering they can easily invest that money. But I remember this whole thing went on for like 40 days or something. And there was this scenario ki because of, let's say, lack of certain people in the organization, projects were being slowed now. एंड दे वर लाइक कि अच्छा हम जब लोग ही स्काउट नहीं कर पाएंगे, राइट, तो बिजनेस इम्पैक्ट आएगा. एंड दिस इज देयर वाज अ देखा कि अच्छा ये इम्पैक्ट क्यों आया था, बिकॉज देयर वाज अ मिस्ट इन द स्प्रिंग जो चल रही थी इंजीनियरिंग वालों की. तो आई थिंक दैट्स वेयर दे वर एबल टू बिल्ड अ केस फॉर द सीएफओ कि ये हमें क्यों करना है इन्वेस्टमेंट, और इसका हम आरओआई लेट्स से कितने टाइम में दिखा पाएंगे. I think this is also one of the part I think which a lot of people sort of miss out. कि वो केस बना नहीं पाते with the CFOs or like with the finance people, because they ultimately are responsible for the ROI of the company, right? They are not responsible for, let's say, all the like operational part हो गया कि story telling हो गया, that's all good मतलब, but ultimately their job is to see कि ROI कैसे आएगा इसका, and I think
I
that
actually don't agree with this statement, and I have a contradictory here. I don't think only ROI is nowadays, is a responsibility of the finance person. It's not. We have to, of course, ROI is one of the important KPI, but it's not the only one. When you said, all about that LinkedIn, it reminded me of one of the example which happened in my case. Again, a real example. This was with Sales Navigator, right? So someone asked me for Sales Navigator, and we already had three four other tools, but then they said that we need this because I think this will help us. I sat with the person, I understood, try to understand at what it is, why they need. I said, okay, let's do it a pilot, use for 3 months, give me the if you can explain me how this can help you, how much you have used, etc. We'll take the annual plan. Given
Hmm.
that person has not even used for 5 days, I had all the dashboards done, right? So that is
Hmm.
how I think sometimes we have to move. Rather than saying no, just spend something and let people. Or the on the other hand, there was again the other kind. Okay, am I audible?
You were
I
lost,
think.
थोड़ा बीच में हो गया था, but अब it's fine, yeah, again, so yeah.
Yeah. So again, there are people who have asked something and they have proved out to be very well. Like there are other subscriptions which, or since we're discussing about subscriptions, which proved out to be very well, and now that was been not only taught to that person, but the entire overall organization level we have implemented that. So it all depends on, right. So it's not only about ROI. Sometimes you don't have any ROI, you have to just invest in people, not on ROI,
But I
and you
think
have
I
to
like the
trust.
fact that like you were open to the idea that acha, let's just take a small risk and see for 3 months. If it works, so it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? And I think that can actually maybe a good strategy for people to also sort of propose certain solutions, right? Because committing to a year can actually look like very daunting thing, right? अच्छा इतने सारे पैसे डालने हैं without
Yeah,
even knowing कि तुम क्या करने वाले हो इसका, right? So I
exactly.
think maybe that's a good framework that people can think on, maybe in their own jobs. Krishna, yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
One sec. Yeah. So, Sonal, just now changing the track of what we were just discussing, you've at least for the past couple of years been a startup first finance leader, right? To
Yeah.
term it right. In your opinion, what is it that is different? Like, if say somebody is considering to build their career in startups, what are the pros and cons? If you were to work in finance for a like startup, if you could give us the pros and cons.
So pros, I will just go with the cons, not pros. Cons. Don't think it's a 9 to 5 job,
Hmm.
right? And be ready to, work a lot. Like in any area, it will not be only accounts of finance. It can be anything, but related to finance, or you have to, use your financial ability to, do that. The third is you have to deal with different kinds of people, like different kinds of founders. It will not be like, of course, between MNC and startup there is a different mindset, right?
Hmm.
You will have to we deal with different kinds of people which will not match at all with the MNC culture. The culture will be different. It will be, again, not MNC culture where you will get gifts for everything. You will be played on like every Friday there will be games or celebrations, something something. It won't be there. At the same time, in pros I will say there will be a lot of celebration, not planned, and a lot of growth and opportunity. So you, wherever you go, you will learn. You will get your own. You will get to, raise your own voice, share your thoughts, share your ideas, which you will never get in a MNC. So I'll tell you the story. What happened? So after I moved to Bangalore, I joined one MNC. Within 9 months, I realized this is not my piece of cake. I
Hmm.
was just going at 9 a.m. in the morning, logging in, 8 hours mandatory, and then we had a lot of fun at office, lot of friends, cakes, this, that, every day, 3, 4 chai breaks, a lot of musty, and then back at 6 p.m. So, you know, I'm not. No offense to him, who those who works to MNC, it's not like
Yeah, what
everywhere it's
fighting for you more? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's not same for everyone, but yeah, that's what it happened with me. So I think yeah, the opportunity to learn, to grow, to share your ideas, it's the best place. Startup is the best place.
Got it. No,
yeah,
makes sense. I think, and it's also, I think it's a tribe. It's a different tribe. MNC is a different tribe. Startups
Yeah,
is a different type. At the end of the day, those people are seeing scale, right? So we are not going to be like, "Ki, that's not the right place." I think it's just that where are you vibing more? Wahan kar lo types.
exactly. And that was scenario with me. Not all MNC will have that same scenario. At the same time,
No, no.
yeah,
Unfortunately, that's the reality at most places. Uh, so yeah,
but okay.
yeah. You want to take the next one, Jay, or can I?
So I was actually thinking, ki like since you're working in one of the hottest space right now, right? I would say actually not one, two hot space, blockchain and Gen AI.
Yeah.
So for bunch of
And
finance
that
professionals.
also they are more on the verification side, na? So or
Yeah, yeah.
they're
So it's again a bit of a cyber security bit aldo, right? So it's quite a space, matlab, to be in, honestly. So for finance professional, like how would you say how important for them is to understand the domain in terms of there is so much of changing constantly in AI right now. Uh, how do you think that finance people should think on this whole domain idea? Matlab, do they need to understand domain fairly well, or they can just pick up on the fly? Matlab?
see, I will just comment one thing. No finance person has to do coding. They have to
Yeah.
just understand in a layman language. And if
Mm-hmm.
you will go and sit with the engineering team, they will also understand that, or the tech team, right? They understand that you don't know the tech language. And I am blessed with a very good tech team in my company who explains us very well, in a very again layman language with examples that what blockchain is or what other technology is, why we are doing this, what is that, and that is how we learn. And for me, currently I'm also doing an AIPM course by Vikash Rumta. So so I love learning new things. So in my case, I just keep doing courses, I just keep doing attending webinars, and I try to understand things where I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays we have a lot of tools, we can just do chat gpt and understand, like ask chat gpt, give the best prompt and ask that how can I understand this, I'm a finance person, and they will explain you very nicely. So I think it's just understanding in your way. If you understand code, understand it in your coding language. If you understand in story examples, whatever you understand in finance way.
But I'm actually glad I don't know many finance professional who will sit with engineers and actually understand things very from first principles.
no,
So I think.
Jay, so this is a new trend. I also thought of the same thing because initially I saw a set of few finance leaders, right? Again, no offense against them because see, understand traditionally they are wired that way. Sonal came with that thought process कि नहीं आपको थोड़ा बदलना होगा, you will have to change with time, right? So she has that thought process. Surprisingly, a lot of CFOs these days also have that thought process now. They want to get into the nitty gritty. Like if फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई नो अ सीएफओ हु वेंट एंड आस्क्ड द टेक टीम कर्सर क्यों चाहिए एक्सप्लेन करो इससे क्या डिलीवरी आने वाला है राइट
Mhm.
फॉर हिम टू गो एंड इवन आस्क दिस क्वेश्चन ही हिमसेल्फ हैड टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट कर्सर इज if the tech team says कि why का impact है and I actually saw that person like see if they said why का impact है he further drilled down on the metric so that's also happening as a trend now तो वो थोड़ा change हो रहा है like she said right like in like talent also there are two segments of people I think वो same finance में टूटने लग गया I guess there are two sets of people now in finance as well
It makes your work very interesting when you do things which you understand. It makes your work interesting. You start giving suggestion, you start understanding, you take suggestions, and it's a two-way job, right, for both of them. Like whether it's tech team or any other team plus finance, it's very easy to then coordinate and communicate.
and also they won't feel ki you're just calling this off because of pricing you're calling this off because it genuinely is not making sense will also be the logic there right so they might
Yeah.
actually buy into why you're rejecting their proposal there are high
Yes.
chances in this case
Yeah.
Yes.
makes sense
But since you also just got into marketing, right? So maybe I think since you guys are also dealing with, let's say, larger enterprise right now in terms of your customer base, I assume it's mostly the larger companies.
Mhm.
Can you also talk about like what's happening in the GTM space right now? How you guys are thinking because it's a unique sort of a technology, right? So Maybe if you can also share some ideas on GTM, like what's working.
I'll not speak a lot about GTM, but I would like to speak about Optimize Geo, which is our new product. I don't know if I've already shared with you. So Optimize Geo is the new SEO. That is a geo which we have just launched, and it is about how you can. It's same like SEO, but then in LLMs,
Hmm.
ChatGPT, Perplexity, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something in trend right now, and
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of opportunity growth there. And yeah, like coming back to your question, when you say GTM strategy for a finance people, everything is backed by ROI numbers. Which area is working, which area is not working, where we should spend. For finance, it starts from there, of course, and then the
Mm-hmm.
understanding of the business. Like for example, there will be no ROI in the first. Like first will be the testing phase, then will be awareness, then it goes like that. But then it has to be backed by the numbers.
Hmm. Yeah, because I think that was pretty like, one thing, right? Because right now the whole GTM motions are changing, right? And people are trying to be super experimental, right? कि अच्छा ये भी कर लेते हैं, वो भी करते हैं, सब करते हैं, right? And it requires like a lot of capital resources to back it up, right? So it's very interesting that way. So yeah, this is
One thing I'll just add here, and I have recently, understood this, or I have read few articles as well. For a
Mhm.
startup, marketing should not be the first thing. For a
Hmm.
startup, there should be a number which you achieve, right?
Hmm.
And then you should go for marketing. From first day,
Hmm.
you cannot market your product. You have something to back it up with which you will go and you will market it.
There
I
has to
don't
be
have
a
any
use
system.
case.
Sorry.
Till the time you don't have a product market fit, maybe marketing might
Yes.
not work that well for you.
No, yeah, that's what you should have case studies. You have to product market fit and a lot of this. So and I have seen in my earlier stage, startups used to spend hugely on marketing, and that has changed. I think that has changed a lot in current scenario.
But there's one more thing happening in marketing right now, right? Like a lot of followers on different social media channel. We were just discussing this with I was discussing it with somebody today. Are actually AI bots now. तो आप देखोगे कि like the interaction which is happening on the like post you do and all of that, that's not even 10% of your entire impressions. So that there are high chances that you have a lot of AI bots following you in that case, because that's also become, it's as high as 30%. I think TOI had also recently published an article on that. वो भी एक angle आ गया ना अभी. A lot of AI bots only keep following companies. So that's not actually humans which you're tracking. There are a lot of AI bots which are actually following you, and that's giving you fake sense of achievement because of it.
That's interesting, and that's why I think we had an idea which I'll just share. Like we should have a very verified profiles
Yeah.
where now you will have a clear differentiation between which is a chatbot and which is original profiles.
ये
but
eventually आएगा ही मतलब, because this will keep on growing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but in this case, no, guys. So, like, let's say, अभी लिंगन का verification तो है, ठीक है, like this government thing. But how will you like stop anyone from posting, let's say, AI content or like just automating the whole content problem? Because वो तो रहेगा ना, वो लोग
Then
automate
tell me
करेंगे.
one thing, why you want to stop AI content if it is easing your life?
Actually, I don't
What's
think it's
wrong with
easy
that?
because no, there's nothing wrong. My only, at least it's my own bias. Okay, content is a great way to communicate. At least I feel on social media, right? And I consume a lot of content. The
But
only challenge I feel
no,
is
but
कि
there
जब
then there's
sorry.
another side to it, right? Content comes naturally to you as a person. But if you're thinking of
No.
mass, it
हाँ हाँ.
might not come naturally to those people. So for them to this has become holy grail. Why understand, while I understand there are a lot of copies and just copy paste happening in life, but why उनके
हाँ,
लिए तो holy
my
grail बन चुका है.
question is that कि let's say copy paste या whatever है, यहाँ we can automate content. So you
Yeah.
will see like bunch of comments आते हैं जो लोगों के post के नीचे. You can actually say कि अच्छा इसमें ना I don't know कोई value add है ना कुछ है. Yes, it can just increase your impressions overall. But I want to understand कि what mindset are they sort of doing this with, because everybody can sort of see now कि ये जो, because we all keep saying कि we want to be like authentic self on LinkedIn, or we want to just show who is like who we are or whatever, right? but I just don't understand कि इससे मतलब what are they driving back home, मतलब that's my only sort of question.
Okay, I'll just ask you another question and maybe you can answer. For
Mhm.
example, I have hired one content manager for my LinkedIn profile.
Sure.
Okay, that person is doing the entire content and posting on my behalf.
Mhm.
Similar way, I have hired an AI agent. I have created an AI agent on my behalf. Now that AI agent is driving the content part on my behalf.
Mhm.
So in either way, I am giving both of them what should be the topics, and they
Yeah.
are just posting on my behalf. So earlier, the earlier thing, like there was a human who was a content manager. Now there is an AI who is a content manager. So what
True.
makes difference for me?
So I'll answer this in a little different way, right? So this actually discussed last night also same thing. So what's happening कि we have become lazy prompters in a way. आप ठीक है, let's say if you hire me as a content manager, आप मुझे बताओगे कि जय I am thinking this, जय मैं ऐसे सोच रही हूँ, जय मुझे ये insights है, blah blah blah, right? So we can have like a more of a discussion. But with AI, what I am actually seeing a lot of people are doing, कि can you write me a post on let's say education space in India, or there is no real insights that's going to the relevant. That's my sort of whether I'm coming
I
from.
agree with you.
हाँ,
Completely agree with you. So that is garbage in, garbage out.
हाँ, एग्जैक्टली, सो दैट्स माय पॉइंट कि जो आप कमेंट्स वो पढ़ते हो ना कि ग्रेट पर्सपेक्टिव ब्ला 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 ब्ला, एंड देयर इज नो रियल लाइक कॉन्वर्सेशनल पॉइंट. ऑफ कोर्स आई यूज एआई ऑल डे लॉन्ग, राइट? मतलब माय स्क्रीन टाइम ऑन एआई इज क्लोज टू 6 hours most of the days, but I want to sort of leverage it in a way कि where it can work for me rather than working against me. So
I completely agree with you, and that's why there are so many courses on prompting. You
yeah,
should give
yeah,
right prompting, and that is nothing but how you deal with a human being, what the question they ask, and how much you explain them about any topic. So I understand from where you're coming from, but at the end of the day, it's the same thing. Even if through the content manager, I'm just saying one line and telling that person to write it, they will also write the same thing. So it's
because
equal.
Guys,
yeah,
you all do realize, right? You all are talking about only the top 1% of the audience जिसके लिए ये applicable हो रहा है. There are
Yeah.
still a lot of people who are just on the surface of exploring a GPT, leave alone the other AI tools, right? वो तो बहुत दूर की बातें कर रहे हो आप. पहले GPT versions तो use करवा लो उनसे.
yeah,
Even today, I see people making silly mistakes on emails. Joe, already, I think if you're using Google, they've include like given you a AI version to write your email. वो भी नहीं कर रहे हैं. Like we are still there, right? So I think that
Yeah.
adoption level is still a long way to go. And along the way, I think this might get fixed because yeah, like you're saying, right? There will be a AI fatigue that will happen, right? Then how do you give him like give better prompts? I think Kunal Shah in one of these podcasts also mentioned that, right? कि आप जो prompt दे रहे हो, that is the game changer in a lot of
Yes.
cases, right? That's differentiating you from the heap because your clarity of thought is helping you reach the other stage faster. So
yeah,
AI is just to enable, like you are saying. Eventually, though, that fatigue will come and then people will have to figure out. Because then
yeah.
everybody will have same ideas, no? Like, so I'll give you like a joke which happened. I was hiring for an intern post. मैंने उनको जीपीटी से निकाल के एक असाइनमेंट दिया था. आई टोल्ड जीपीटी ये चाहिए और मैंने जीपीटी में असाइनमेंट पेश किया था. एंड देन व्हाट आई डिड इज आई ओपनड अनदर जीपीटी विंडो एंड मैंने उसको बोला कि ब्रो मेरा ये असाइनमेंट है मुझे सॉल्व करके दे दे. ठीक है. अब मैंने यही असाइनमेंट आगे भेजा. Everybody had more or less the same answers. People who send me the assignments back. So then after that, I
Yeah.
just simply ask them one simple question: "कैसे करा है? Have you used GPT or you put your thought?" Where people honestly told me, "Krishna, I use GPT." Okay, but if somebody told me, "हाँ मैं खुद किया," then I just told them I just had done the same exercise, and this is exactly what GPT is giving as an answer. So as a hiring manager, you also become smarter because this is going to happen. Like there,
Yeah.
agar there is a tool, then there will be people who just copy paste, like Jay said, without using their brain cells.
See, and I take it in two-way. Of course, people will use AI, Chat GPT, and I will love them to do this.
You
But
should.
at the
I
same,
think you
yeah,
should, but
yeah.
sensibly.
And in our company, we just keep saying people that use AI tools, because that
Yeah.
is how everyone will be efficient, more efficient. And
Yeah.
those people who are not using GPT even today will be. the one who, should like, it's like again the learning thing. If you don't keep learning, you will be left behind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone has to be now AI versed. AI, and what is AI, right? I'll just take 30 seconds here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing this, as I said, AIPM course. So in that one of the class, when Vikas was explaining what is the difference between the machine language and the generative AI,
Mhm.
machine learning language was only about coding, right? But this AI is what? AI is about, a kind of where we first give the results, whatever we prompts we give, whatever results we give, in between there are scenarios, which, so what we do to AI is we ask certain questions, and then they go and follow the rules, and then they see what are the results which we have given, all the, data points what we have given. From there they give the answers. So it's again the similar thing, like here when we are using GPT, we are giving prompts.
Yep. And I think it's a, matlab, one of the ways I just think of an AI is a tool, right? So ultimately, it cannot be like a thinker, okay? At least in this stage of the AI where we are right now. Yes, we will get to a point. So there was this very interesting paper I just wrote about it today, right? If you guys use any of the workflows, right, using Zapier or Anakin or any of those workflow automation tool,
Yeah.
a workflow sort of fails in between, right? It cannot recalibrate at that point and like restart the whole process. So in a human brain, right? So how it works is कि अच्छा एक मैं टास्क कर रहा हूँ, अगर वो टास्क फेल हुआ तो मैं उसको रीआइटरेट करूंगा, फिर मैं वापस फीडबैक से सीखूंगा, फिर मैं रीइंफोर्स करूंगा कुछ blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Agents are not there yet because they are not able to think on their own. They are extremely dependent on the first prompt, right, which was given.
Yes.
And if you keep pushing it to the same prompt, वो भूल जाएगा वो कर क्यों रहा था ये. So I think
Yeah.
it's a tool. So you really need to be like mindful and not think like some कि ये कोई magic box है और इसमें मैं एक चीज डालूंगा और सब solve हो जाएगा. So,
And I will never like any tool to be a thinker.
yeah,
I think AI should never be a thinker. That should be the human part.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Krishna, you have a question?
So, if y'all remember, have y'all heard of the Workday lawsuit? Like which
No.
happened on Workday. So, and it's happening for a lot of other companies which are trying to use AI for screening.
Okay.
Uh, ये एक बड़ा प्रॉब्लम जो आ रहा है ना, उसमें डिस्क्रिमिनेशन हो रहा है जो वो अभी तक सॉल्व नहीं कर पा रहे. So what happens is, like, say if a manager is say a person who wants to only hire male first candidates, right? So what happens is the algorithm is learning from you. Every time you reject an individual, it will keep learning from you. तो उसको वो ट्रेंड समझ में आ गया कि this person will, say for example, reject a female employee who's like, or a candidate who's applying, right? It stops giving suggestions. So there was this one particular person, like, I am like, while I give this information, please read it for yourself to confirm the information. So the
Mm-hmm.
gist is that there was a person with disability. Every time that person kept applying to different companies where Workday was implemented, because of some algorithm setup, he or she was getting rejected. So that became like a discrimination lawsuit.
Yeah.
So hence it's very important that while you're implementing AI, be very conscious that you're not kind
Yes.
of overwriting basic human rights. So ऐसे बहुत सारे use cases होंगे. I'm just giving one in like the TA side, but just in general.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
तो
And I
वो भी
think
होता रहेगा.
there is like this whole Netflix, sorry, Hollywood thing going on with OpenAI, right? I think, bunch of Hollywood studios also have sued OpenAI for using like bunch of characters and all. So I think this will all keep going, and
Yeah.
we will see more and more lawsuits coming in. So yeah,
I because see, there are going to be hacks, no? You'll also learn it on the go. So I'm just saying you got to be very conscious with AI. So conscious AI is actually a legit thing now. I think we're going to speak about it on our set soon. So super excited for that one also. But Sonal, one last question from my side for the day. If you were to give the younger audience a message of your life's learning, that what are some of the things that you learned in your life which you think if you would have implemented sooner you would have been way better off?
That's a tough question because I think I'm learning every day. And that's how life is. But yes, I think in the earlier stage of my life, my priorities was the designation, salary,
Mm.
etc., etc., right? And of course, that is important. It's not that it's not important, but as I have moved on, and I realized that the purpose which make keep you drive the driving force should be you have to find your own driving force. And the
Mhm.
driving force was not salary or designation. The driving force was the impact and the peace which it brings to you. And that completely changed my overall thinking, my overall work, professionally, personally, etc. And that helped me a lot, I'll say. And that's all. Like, I think just try to find out what is your driving force rather than
Hmm.
just running behind the trends. Like right now, if AI is a trend, I'm running behind it. It's not be that. But
Yeah.
just try to find out what is driving to you, and like even for students, what is driving you for studying
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Right. Just a small follow up on that, right? Since you mentioned that. So let's say how your has your sort of point of view on success has changed. Matlab, let's say from when you started working to now, how do you define success in that case?
Again, I think I will define success in what how it satisfied yourself, right? So as I said initially, I was behind money, salary, designation, job, etc., etc., right? And that completely changed to now what impact I'm making, how people around me is growing, how I'm able to have like people to take the right decision, or something, building something which is long lasting, how
Hmm.
is creating impact in the society. That all matters, even it depends like what makes you happy. Like if I go somewhere and I able to help someone, and that brings a smile on face, it actually makes me sleep peacefully. If I complete things and then in a good way, and there is no I can sleep peacefully. So that all things matters. I think that is success, where you and the people around you are happy.
Yeah, I actually remember one of my friend. No, he also stays in Ahmedabad. He hustled out a lot in startups, very young, matlab, and he is in mid 30s right now. So the only metric that really sort of matters for him is the mental peace, right? Everything else is like just a noise for him. He's only like, yeah, I'm just optimizing for like my own mental peace, nothing else in life. So I think that sort of comes after a point, after going through all the hardships and all the sort of wrong things, or like wrong metric we can keep chasing for a quite some time. So,
Yeah.
and so the last question from my side for the day, and we'll close it. So what's the best piece of advice someone has given you, personal or professionally?
The best piece of advice which I have got is with my very, I'll say my very favorite manager, which I don't want to take name here, is sometime let it go, and just try to be empathetic, and even if things are not good, um, uh, uh, just that line was, try to be let it go, or just pause and think about it, right? If you are feeling bad about something or anything, or if you're not able to achieve something, just stop it there, sleep over, come next day, and
Hmm.
start new. I think that helped me a lot, and it helps me in everyday life, I'll say.
Right.
So
So is it
I think
something about like not instantly reacting to certain situations? Is it something on that line?
yes, it's not, it's about that. And then also sometimes when you need to react instantly, it's not that every time you can just let leave it. So sometimes how to deal with it, maybe just think about, like, empathetically, how maybe you are in that place or something is wrong, and just don't, because I remember I was very aggressive, and aggressive in the way, okay, like I was like, I used to react instantly, and that was very difficult. So this was a piece of advice given by one of my, I'll say, mentor, and that helped me a lot. That helped me a lot
Mm.
everywhere. As you asked me, right, people, how you deal with people and everything, I think these all advices matters
So,
a lot.
Sonal, what you're saying, I was just speaking to a person who does coaching for CEO level. You'll be surprised. This is the same feedback they give to a lot of CEOs also.
Wow.
That do not react, just calm down. You can maybe write down your thoughts, construct
Yeah.
it, and then come back. So a lot of times they'll help you solve the agitation at that point in time.
Yeah.
Yes. So
But
this
this has been,
advice is helping me a lot, even like every day.
Makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. No, but I think this was pretty interesting that way because we touched upon quite a few topics, and unfortunately, we couldn't rank on Bangalore and Bombay, but maybe we'll save that for some next episode. But thanks so
Yes.
much for doing it. It was pretty good. And any closing thoughts from your side?
I enjoyed it a lot, and really thank you to both of you. I really didn't felt like I was just. I just thought like I'm sitting in a room with my friends and I'm chatting on normal topics. So,
Yeah.
thank you to both of you. And yeah, anything I can do, let me know.
Yep, yep. If people have any questions, please, feel free to reach out to Sonal,
Yes.
and she'll be happy to sort of answer that. And with this, I think we're gonna be back soon, and fortunately not tomorrow, but very soon. And
And
Cruz, I
happy
just
Diwali
want
to
to
everyone.
yes, happy Diwali, everyone.
Happy Diwali.
Thank
Start of Happy Diwali.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect.